Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Boss, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness revealed new VFX details from the multiverse montage sequence, confirming one of our theories about the 27 universes Doctor Strange and America Chavez tumbled through, but not in the way we expected. Because folks, I hate to break it to you, but Hydra wins! In one of the universes of the MCU multiverse, confirmed by the VFX artists who worked on this film. So I'm gonna break down the full implications of this alternate universe, but how it sets up Red Skull to return in Secret Wars. In Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange and America Chavez escaped the Scarlet Witch and Kamar-Taj by falling through the multiverse. I counted over 20 different universes shown throughout this film, but among these, I theorized that one of them showed us a version of Manhattan had Hydra successfully invaded the United States. For example, had Red Skull's Valkyrie ship in the first Captain America film, the one loaded with warheads, signed, sealed, and delivered for Steve Rogers' hometown, had actually made it to their intended target. And now, in an interview with Variety, VFX artist Alexis Wajbro, sorry if I said that wrong, from Framestore, and artist Olivier Dumont and Michael Perdue from Luma Pictures finally confirmed some of the multiversal details that we had been wondering about. Things like the squid monster Doctor Strange fights was supposed to be Shuma-Gorath, but due to rights issues, they had to name it Gargantos, but still was considered a variant of Shuma-Gorath in their eyes. But the Framestore artist shared one still of the black and white film stock universe showing in 1930s New York with a blimp looming over the Brooklyn Bridge. If you look closely at the nose of that blimp, that is a sigil of Hydra. This is confirmed to be a universe where Hydra took over the United States. And unlike the way the organization covertly corrupted S.H.I.E.L.D. from the inside, in the shadows using Arnim Zola's algorithm, this version of Hydra proudly brandishes their iconography for all to see. Now, the film stock imagery in the 1930s setting definitely evokes The Man in the High Castle, the Philip K. Dick story turned Amazon Prime series, which told the story of an alternate history where America was defeated by the Axis powers in World War II and features some pretty chilling imagery of the Nazi flag draped over New York landmarks. Now, I would say that's what's happening in this reality, except you'll notice driving down the street are some classic Ford Model Ts, the Tin Lizzies. If this were truly after World War II, the automobiles, especially in Manhattan, would probably be a mix of a lot more newer models. The Model T was mass produced by Ford from 1908 to 1927, and that definitely stayed on the road through the early 30s, especially during the Depression era. But going into the 40s, Model Ts became less and less common. They certainly wouldn't be every car on the road as they are here. So this suggests that in this universe, Hydra invaded and conquered the United States for World War II, a timeline in which Germany was able to mobilize into a military state far sooner, annexing European nations a lot sooner, likely conquering the British Isles, and making their way across the Atlantic by the mid-30s when Model Ts were still the predominant car on the road. But how would they have been able to do that? What was the what-if change in this history? Well, in the 616 MCU version of World War II history, the Germans formed an alliance with the forces of Hydra led by Johann Schmidt, with Schmidt and Arnim Zola working on a secret science division for the Nazis, producing high-powered weaponry empowered by the Tesseract, the Space Stone. Once those weapons became operational, Schmidt turned on his Nazi overseers and took Hydra rogue. But really, Hydra as an organization preceded World War II, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3 traced Hydra back to ancient times, when a rogue faction of Kree militants came to Earth to create an army of super soldiers, human experiments that became progenitors of the Inhumans, led by Albius, aka Hive, who turned his Inhuman group into a cult until he was banished through a Kree monolith to a distant planet. Over the millennia, this society grew and evolved, taking on new names, trying to save Hive from his exile, but to no avail, and this society became known as Hydra. Actually, an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. flashback showed Hydra in 1839 in England, so the group was obviously active in Europe a century before World War II. And before you argue that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was not MCU canon, my friends, Multiverse of Madness just showed Anson Mount, Black Bolt, so these ABC Marvel TV shows are canon in at least part of the MCU multiverse, likely including the history of this Hydra universe. Therefore, this Hydra universe is likely one in which Johann Schmidt's super soldier serum experiments with Abraham Erskine before Erskine broke away and fled to the US, rather than mutating Schmidt into Red Skull and then abandoned when Erskine left with his research, in this case was seen as a success and embraced and replicated. Either a scenario where Erskine couldn't make it to the US, or one in which he was captured instead of killed, or his serum made it back into the hands of Schmidt and Zola, and they built on that research. A what-if scenario in which Hydra rapidly expanded their super soldier program on a mass scale, decades before they did this with the Winter Soldier program, when their ambitions were far less covert, and turned all of their soldiers that saluted Red Skull in the first Cap film into super soldiers, running them down assembly lines the way Ford did their Model Ts. Imagine thousands of German-speaking Steve Rogerses in blimps would make pretty short work of a Depression-era United States. Now, finding the deeper layer of meanings in all these things can be so stressful, it makes you want to pull your your hair out. But if you're worried about losing your hair naturally, Keeps can actually help you out there, because 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. With Keeps, you can get quality expert care without ever visiting a doctor's office or a pharmacy. Keeps offers generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there, but at half the cost of your local pharmacy. Though you never have to go to a doctor's office, Keeps has a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and care specialists to support you in making your hair goals a reality. Easily subscribe to Keeps and get refill reminders so you'll never run low on the products you need to take care of your hair. Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/newrockstars or click that link in the description. That's keeps.com/newrockstars. That would mean Red Skull's vision of the future, a world united under one flag, the flag of Hydra, would actually be realized. And not to a rabbit hole into any problematic thought experiments here, but really a planet Earth that stops warring amongst itself with advanced Infinity Stone powered weaponry, a power source that doesn't spend decades in storage or in Nick Fury's Flurkin's mouth, the way the Tesseract did in the main 616 timeline, but rather one in the hands of scientists more eager to build on its power. Friends, Hydra Earth is one in at least better shape to defend itself against Thanos or the Kree or any other extraterrestrial invaders. I know, I'm making an argument for Hydra and other horrible things. And at what cost must the trains run on time? I mean, if you use this argument, we'd all be better off assimilated into Ego's sticky galaxy orgy. I don't know, maybe so, but it doesn't mean we should. Yet still, in this Hydra universe, as horrible yet efficient as it is likely one with Red Skull still in charge. No one to stop him, which would bring back a very interesting villain to the MCU if the studio ever wants to revisit this setting, and I think they're gonna do it for Secret Wars. Because if Haley Atwell as a live-action Captain Carter shows up in Multiverse of Madness, obviously this movie wanted to pay some homage to the variant of the character in the What If series. And in that first episode, we also saw Red Skull back in a more active plot to open a portal to unleash his Hydra beast. Something not too dissimilar to what past generations of Hydra were doing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., trying to free their Hive leader from a portal. And Red Skull voice actor Ross Marquand worked on Multiverse of Madness as the voice of the Ultron Sentries in 838. The guy has expressed interest in returning to the MCU as Red Skull in the past. So the incursions that were oft-referenced in Multiverse of Madness are most likely pointing to an upcoming Secret Wars event. And Red Skull is one villain we definitely need to see returning alongside the heroes and villains from past phases, now all together on Battleworld. And the Hydra universe is exactly where he could pull a Red Skull from. A version of Johann Schmidt at the height of his power, his most villainous, his ego unchecked. That is a Red Skull we deserve. Let me know your thoughts on this theory. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss. Follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.